money does not equal freedom, right? Do you remember when you were 20 years old like John, and you're a young guy and you're coming in, and he's got more upside than all of us because he's got more time, right? And he comes in and he says, God, I'm going to learn so much. And all of a sudden you get caught in this trap. And you get caught in this trap of the working wealthy.
Our next presenter is Mr. Robert Hirsch. A little bit about Robert. He's a serial entrepreneur since high school. How many of you have been a serial entrepreneur since high school? Or even before high school? Okay. So Robert's business adventures have included riding the first wave of the dot-com boom as a venture-backed CEO, a stint as director of internet marketing for Siemens AG, consolidating the adventure travel industry as founder of Adventure Central, and most recently running a private equity fund with a portfolio of 7 companies primarily centered on direct response marketing and technology. He's done consulting through his company, South Fork Ventures. He's helped 6 companies grow from the $5 million to $50 million level and prepare for liquidity events. Robert's mission in life is to create positive change in the world by helping the helpers. He's perfectly served through taking the helm of the current company he works with, the CEO, the Elevation Group, as the company seeks to create a movement of educated, aware individuals who will inevitably transform their own lives and on the way become leaders and examples to countless others. And he's going to talk about how to create even more luck in your life. So give it up for Mr. Robert Hirsch.
Very impressive intro, bro.
Yeah, thank you.
So, you know what I'm going to talk about today, and a lot of people come up and talk to me about business. But what I'm going to talk to you about is a little bit different, because in the room today we have a lot of self-made entrepreneurs, self-made men, self-made women, people that have worked really hard to get to their station in life. And how many people consider themselves lucky? It's a fair share, right? And you know, Vince Lombardi defined luck as where preparation meets opportunity. And I never had the chance to meet Vince Lombardi, but I'm going to disagree with him here. You know, for me, luck is really where intention, meaning what you put out there, is when intention meets gratitude. And that, to me, has really changed my life. Now, the reason that this is important is, you know, if you live the life that you want to, you can die peacefully in your sleep, really feeling confident that you've helped hundreds of people. And I've learned this lesson from my grandfather, because my grandfather, you know, I want to die peacefully in my sleep like he did, not yelling and screaming like the passengers in his car. And so, and so, you know, in order to be able to sleep well, now I know there's some amazing men and women in this room, but I feel like I'm the luckiest person. And I'll tell you why. Because what I get to do on a daily basis is exceptional. We get to help people in the areas of really getting rid of the whole time money continuum and allowing them to create passionate lives where they're surrounded by everything that they want to create. You know, I have an amazing wife. Generally, the people that meet me and meet my wife, they like me, but they really love her. Things are just have been unbelievable, and they couldn't have been better. And you know, if I passed away a couple years ago, it would have said on my tombstone, he worked, and then the subhead it would say, a lot. And I worked so much, and I just wanted to change the station. I wanted to help as many people as I could. Ayn Rand in The Fountainhead said, there was a character called Virgil who asked this question that Joe talked about earlier. He said, who helps the helpers? And when I read that, it changed my life, because the answer to that is I do. And the most influential people in the world, the biggest helpers, are the people in this room, which is why I'm so grateful for your time. So anyway, we've gone over why I'm the luckiest person in the room. So when I met the woman of my dreams, I was never married at 38 years old. I met her, this great love story. Matt, one of my business partners, we all come down to Austin. Things are extraordinary. 2 weeks before my wedding, I get diagnosed with a very rare form of leukemia. So I'm thinking something very eloquent in my head. And I'm thinking, oh, this is horrific, leukemia, cancer. I had no idea. I had no idea that this was even possible. And to give you an idea, I'd been in the health business for quite a long period of time. I've been drinking green smoothies, you know, just the spinach, no fruit. You know, I've been drinking green smoothies for 10 years. Frankly, I was expecting that to pay greater dividends before I hit the age of 40. And so I got diagnosed, and I spoke to this doctor, and he told me I couldn't go to my wedding. I got married in the Cook Islands, which is in the middle of the South Pacific. And he explained you couldn't go to your wedding. And I said, excuse me. And he said, well, it's doctor's orders. And then I explained to him doctor's suggestions, right? And what sovereignty is. I'm still not sure if he understood what I was talking about. But against doctor's orders, non-compliant, I went over to my wedding. We got married. It was unbelievable. Went on the honeymoon, New Zealand, helicopters everywhere, just amazing. And I came back. And in the last year, I've had 22 rounds of chemotherapy. And I don't know what they told you, but it's not as much fun as you might expect. And it really isn't. And I mean, literally a year ago, I couldn't walk from my bedroom to my kitchen. And so here I am, an entrepreneur, just like many of the people in your shoes. And I really had a chance to look death in the face. And I said, God, what would I have done differently? What do I wish I knew then that I knew now? You know, what was really, really important? And I realized just how lucky I was.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video, and I want to let you know that I have a new book that's come out, and if you'd like to get it absolutely free, there's a link below in the description, or you can wait till the end of this video, or you can simply go to joesfreebook.com and you can get a copy there.
And so, would it be valuable for me to share those with you today? Yeah. Cool, right? So, you know, the first one, which is pretty simple, you know, money does not equal freedom, right? Do you remember when you were 20 years old like John, and you're a young guy and you're coming in, and he's got more upside than all of us because he's got more time, right? And he comes in and he says, God, I'm going to learn so much. And all of a sudden you get caught in this trap. And you get caught in this trap of the working wealthy, right? Does anybody relate to that? You know, the working wealthy. And you're working, and you know, and maybe your car changes, maybe your house changes, but your days don't change. It's the same thing over and over. And so often we get caught in that trap as entrepreneurs, and we think we got to help more people, we have to help more people, and the question is why, right? And so we internalize it, we take it very seriously, but figuring out how to create the life that you want is so important, and not tomorrow and not the next day, because nothing is guaranteed, and this happens so quickly. I remember when I was 18 years old, I looked at my grandfather, he was shaving, and I looked at him, and I said, Grandpa, and he's looking in the mirror, we were both early risers. I said, Grandpa, when you look in the mirror, what do you see? He said, Robbie, I see an 18-year-old man. And I realized that, and I bet you when Joel looks in the mirror, he still sees an 18-year-old man too. And so life is so fast. Whatever you do, don't get caught in that trap of the working wealthy. That's point one. Point two, I think I traded my health for wealth. Is that a good trade? No, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Wealth or health is the only currency that makes a difference, right? You know, and you could go ask a college student, they said, oh, I want to make $1 million, I want to do this, I want to do that. You know, I had everything that I ever thought I wanted. But I traded my health to get there. And it was only because I worked so hard. I was very one-sided. And if you haven't, you know, and some people trade their relationships. You know, I've traded relationships in the past before I met my wife. You know, because work was very important. I needed to help people. I needed to do things. I needed to help the helpers. And I only know one way to work. You either do your best or you don't. And people say, well, you need a downshift. And I said, so you don't want me to do my best? It just makes no sense. So I just don't have a downshift gear. And figuring out what that looks like and creating something around that is really, really important. And not doing that sometime in the future, oh, I'm going to make a New Year's resolution. Oh, I'm going to eat better. Oh, I'm going to go to the gym more. You know, the other thing, right, is sleep. You know, so many people undervalue sleep. I used to think that, I used to think I'm going to sleep when I'm dead. Well, unfortunately, that seemed to be coming sooner than anticipated. and so sleep is really, really important. You know, getting those phones and screens, you know, out of your life and out of your bedroom so you can really get rest and recuperate. And so that was the second one. And then the third, which was interesting. So I was a paper boy. You know, Joe had a very impressive introduction. I mean, you know, it's interesting. You hear those things and it's like, wow, this is amazing. But it doesn't feel like my life growing up. I remember I was 8 years old, I was a paper boy. When I was 9 years old, I got a second paper route. Then I got an afternoon. So I had a morning and an afternoon. When I was 10, I used that money and I got a lawnmower. And when I was 16, I opened my first store, and then I had 6 stores by the time I was 18. And I thought back, and I thought what my favorite days were. So I'm going through this chemotherapy, and I'm sitting there, and I'm having a hard time going from my bedroom to my kitchen. And I have my entire fan club in tow. My white blood cell counts are under 500. I'm about 460, which is essentially, for the non-medically inclined, it's like Bubble Boy. My assistant is leaving stuff in the garage. I've got my wife and my mom in the house. That's it. And we are playing board games, lots of them. And you know, it's such an interesting thing when you look and your world got so small. And I thought about my favorite days. I had a lot of time to think about my favorite days. And my favorite days were really waking up, and I remember the feeling. I would wake up in the summer, and the window would be open, and I would hear the lawnmower. Do you guys remember that? Right? And you remember the smell of the freshly cut grass? And I remember I'd wake up and I would look over the rail with anticipation, thinking, is it a sunny day because I want to go play? And I remember that, and I thought, oh, this is awesome. Like, when was the last time I had a summer off? Right? And what did that look like? And why am I working so hard if I can't really get back to my favorite days? So it was interesting. I had a friend named Ken McElroy, and he told me he takes the summers off. And I said, God, you're in the meat of your career. How can you do it? How can you afford to? He said, Robert, he said, my son Chris is 14, my son Kyle is 16. How can I afford not to? And all of a sudden, it was like this nuclear bomb, just, and it left. And it was like my whole value system changed. And whether by hook or by crook, I was going to take next summer, which by the way is this summer, off. I didn't know how I'm going to do it. I had no clue. I told my business partners. They all looked at me with significant trepidation, understandably. And I said, I'm going to take this summer off. This is not going to happen. This is not going to happen to me. And so, you know, doing those three things, right? Not getting in the working wealthy, not trading your health for wealth, and doing something outrageous and figuring out exactly what it is that moves the needle for you allows you to create that luck. Right? So this summer I'm going back up to Aspen. We go between Austin and Aspen. We live a life that I could only dream of as a child. And I'm going back up there and I'm taking the summer off. And I start every day with a really simple thing. I write down 3 things that I'm going to make happen, my 3 intentions. And I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for. And that simple exercise, and I do it every day when I meditate, 3 intentions, 3 things that I'm grateful for. So I get to manifest it, and I get to express gratitude. And in gratitude, you know, again, it all starts there. And our time is our most important thing, and we never will get enough. And so you've just spent the last 10 minutes with me. And so thank you so much.
Okay, I hope you found that video awesome and useful. So if you want to get a free copy of my book, I want you to click here. And if you want to watch some more videos that'll be useful and awesome, click here. Go ahead. They're over here. Do it now. Come on. Thank you. Watch them.